You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. All right, so Nikki Haley made her big announcement today, and I got to tell you, she said some very terrible things that we're going to get into right now. And I'm very suspect of this event she had. It was a rally. It was like a Nikki Haley rally. I couldn't tell how many people were there because the camera was zoomed in. It wasn't like a Trump rally size. They didn't show. But who are these people who on a Wednesday, oh, Nikki Haley's giving a speech. Let's take off work. Let's get out.
It's her home state. I mean, it's not like she had it in Florida or something.
She betrayed her state twice. I'll tell you what she did. Nikki Haley betrayed her state. Now, first off, she resigned before she finished her second term. That's the minor second
to be
term. The UN ambassador.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so she left her people behind, okay? She didn't finish her job. But she's a liar. She lied and betrayed the people of South Carolina. Now, when she was running for governor, Nikki Haley, the first time, the Confederate flag was a big controversy. It flew at the South Carolina State Capitol, right at the top of the building. I'm not a Confederate flag guy, okay? I'm from Ohio. I'm not a...
You're a Yankee.
Yeah, I'm not a guy that flies the Confederate flag or anything else. But in South Carolina, it's a big deal. And when she was running for governor, she was defending the Confederate flag and where it was flying on. And then she became governor, and she immediately took it down off of the state capitol and put it in a park across the street. So she lied to the people of South Carolina. She's a liar. She betrayed them on that. Mm-hmm. And then she didn't even finish her job. She resigned before she was done. But she did something really bad today. Okay, she did something really bad. I'm going to play this, and then we'll go back and go through it and talk about it. But it's very difficult for me to listen to this, okay? She insulted President Trump and, well, a whole chunk of the whole country, too. And it's very difficult for me to play this without stopping down and giving you my thoughts on what a lowlife Nikki Haley is. But I'm going to play it uninterrupted, then we'll go back and play it again and stop down, okay, and go through it. All right, here we go. Here's Nikki Haley today in this fake rally with all these fake people that Nikki Haley's speaking today. Let's go, And by the way, they were ringing bells. They had bells. Is that an Indian thing? I don't know. They were clapping, and I heard bells.
That's weird.
It was very weird.
What is she, Santa Claus?
I don't know. But here she is.
But let me be clear. We won't win the fight for the 21st century if we keep trusting politicians from the 20th century. In the America I see, the permanent politician will finally retire. We'll have term limits for Congress and mandatory mental competency tests for politicians over 75 years old.
Okay. I'm going to start with the last one first, and then we're going to go through the whole thing because she is a disgusting person, Nikki Haley. What she said there is that President Trump needs to take a mental competency exam. President Trump is 76 years old. She said everyone over 75 who runs for office and holds office needs to take a mental competency test. So she is shouting and yelling and demanding that President Trump take a mental competency exam, which means, in her view, in her opinion, she's saying he's not mentally competent and he needs to have a mental exam to prove that he is.
How old is Fetterman?
I don't know.
I don't think age has anything to do with it. I mean, he's like 40 and he's totally out of it.
Yeah,
because of his strokes. He can't even put a sentence together. Give him a mental competency exam. I don't think I'm sure Trump would do way better than him. I think they should all have them.
Yeah, and let's put
not just over 75. If we're going to do it, let's do it for all of them. Yeah, because age does not matter here.
I'm not so worried about the mental competency. I know we got a problem with Biden. Okay, I get that. I would really like to put lie detector test on all people running for office.
That would be even better.
Only Trump would pass.
Well, this whole her and Sarah Huckabee to me. I feel like they're working together with this strategy because they both have mentioned a new generation. And I think this whole theme of ageism is a very desperate attempt to discount Trump. They've tried everything else.
Yeah.
Impeached twice, affairs, classified document, you name it. They've thrown everything at this guy. Yeah. Nothing has made him back down.
He's done no wrong.
Right. They haven't, he's not in jail like they wish or in cuffs or anything like that. So now they're going to go after his age. I mean, this is like, this is their Hail Mary. How many Hail Marys have they had? This to me is going to be a running theme because Sarah Huckabee mentioned it about a new generation. She said the same thing, new generation. This is going to be a running theme this election, and I think it's a losing strategy.
Well, let me go through this. I have 3 clips of Nikki Haley. This is the most offensive one, okay, the one I just played. Let's go through it and then stop down after each one of her points, and then we'll talk about it, okay? So it's the same clip I just played, but let's go through it.
But let me be clear. We won't win the fight for the 21st century if we keep trusting politicians from the 20th century.
Okay. Nikki Haley is 51 years old. She was born in 1971, right?
How long has she been a politician?
Yeah, well, a long time. But
exactly.
but she's my age. She's a 20th century person,
right?
She's trying to pass herself off as a millennial.
Yeah, and she's Gen X.
And this ageism thing, I'll tell you this: with age comes wisdom. And I'm the same age as Nikki Haley, but I know, like when we're talking about issues on the show here, on the podcast, I'm on the radio. There's a big difference in how I analyze things at 51 than when I was 21 because with age comes life experience. So this Lord of the Flies thing she's doing is very bizarre.
It is.
And
I don't think it's a winning tactic
Let's go on. Next point.
20th century. In the America I see, the permanent politician will finally retire.
Okay. What has Nikki Haley done other than work for the government?
Exactly.
She's been an elected official since the early 2000s. She was in state government.
At least 2 decades.
Before she's done nothing but be a politician. So I don't, and she's trying to continue that by getting elected again to something. Come on. She's a permanent politician. But anyway, let's play the rest.
The permanent politician will finally retire. We'll have term limits for Congress and mandatory mental competency tests for politicians over 75 years old.
Yeah, there's the demand for Trump.
I think that is such a dangerous, my dad's 85, my mom's 80. They're very sharp. And I think it's such a dangerous precedent to set where you single out people based on age.
Slogans run.
Where's that going to lead?
Yeah.
And I have no problem with mental competency tests for all politicians. Like I said, look at Fetterman. He's like 40 years old, and he's just babbling
Nikki
half
Haley,
the time. And look at Kamala Harris. You tell me Trump's not sharper than those two guys
Nikki Haley doesn't have a single accomplishment to her life other than the job she's held. What has she done in those jobs?
Well, that's what she's running on.
Yeah, and the thing with Nikki Haley here, this new generation, Trump needs to take a mental health test. She's saying we need a new generation. Here's the next clip. This is when she said the same thing as Sarah Huckabee. If she's planning on running with Sarah Huckabee, she's in trouble. Having 2 women on the ticket, it's a little too much.
Oh, you think too much for you to handle?
Yeah.
And faded names of the past, and we are more than. We're ready to move past the stale ideas and faded names of the past. And we are more than ready for a new generation to lead us into the future.
Now, the reason I play this is not just because it's the same thing that Sarah Huckabee Sanders said the other day in her response to the State of the Union. Nikki Haley, she reminds me of Obama. She's vacuous. She just has phrases. It's time to move beyond the old and move with the new, and together we can do the new things in the new century. There's no there. There's just all these platitudes like John F. Kennedy or Barack Obama. She's vacuous. So she did make an announcement about our great country.
It's in the classroom, the boardroom, and the back rooms of government. Every day we're told America is flawed, rotten, and full of hate. Joe and Kamala even say America's racist. Nothing could be further from the truth.
You see, hear the bells?
Those aren't bells. Those are those things you spin around. They have them at some.
Is that an Indian thing?
No. I've seen them at some political events. You spin it around, and it makes it's like a noisemaker type of thing. Yeah, it's really weird.
The American people know better. My immigrant parents know better. And take it from me, the first minority female governor in history, America is not a racist country.
Oh, my good. Take it from me, the first female governor with 6 toes who's a minority who went first in her. I mean, she's got all these things.
Here's what you do. Every time she mentions that she's Indian or her parents are immigrants, take a shot of Jack Daniels. You'll be drunk every day of your life.
I'll ring a bell. One of the Nikki Haley bells.
She is going to mention that so many times.
No one cares, Nikki
My
Haley.
parents from India. I'm Indian. My mother's an immigrant too. I don't wear it as a badge of honor.
She's not even the first.
No big deal.
She's not even the first Indian governor.
This whole country's full of immigrants. That's all we are. Why is this a big deal all of a sudden?
She's not the first Indian governor. I think Jindal was. You're the daughter of an immigrant. I mean, what big deal? I'm a daughter of an immigrant. Oh, well, let's all sit down around Nikki Haley. She's the daughter of an immigrant.
Indian immigrants.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh.
Yes, because Indians are much smarter than Americans, I guess.
She sounds like a Democrat with the platitudes, and what happens with a lot of people, let me tell you about Nikki Haley and some others, okay? This is true not just of Nikki Haley. There are others. Michael Steele, who was the head of the RNC, who now betrays Republicans on MSNBC. Marco Rubio, who's come into his own, okay? But he had some rough years. When back in the 90s, there was talk of who's going to be the first black president. And a lot of Republicans wanted to make Colin Powell president. He was a liberal jerk.
Or Condoleezza Rice.
And he's a war criminal. I know he's no longer with us, but he was a war criminal, Colin Powell. He's the one that sold the WMD lie in Iraq and caused all that. But anyway, people always said that the first black president will be a Republican. The Democrats will never allow it. And Barack Obama became president by accident, caught Hillary off guard. The Clintons got taken off guard and everything else and became president. And they had the first black president. And the Republican establishment went into a panic mode that, they've got a black president. We've got to start promoting people that are not white in the positions. They did affirmative action so we can prove to the voting base that we're not racist. So Bobby Jindal got elevated, and he humiliated himself in his response to Obama's State of the Union. Remember that?
Yeah,
it was
what
awful.
happened to him?
That State of the Union response was the end of him. Nikki Haley became governor. Marco Rubio got elevated.
Trump elevated her. Did he?
No.
Because she's Indian?
No, she was governor long before. No. She was governor long before, and South Carolina is an important state, so he was helping her to get South Carolina. Marco Rubio got elevated before he was ready because he was Hispanic, and he humiliated himself in the debate. Michael Steele became RNC chair. So Nikki Haley is part of this group of minority Republicans that got elevated through affirmative action when Obama became president, because the Republicans wanted to say, hey, listen, we're not all white. We're not racist. We have minorities too. And a lot of people with little accomplishments who are incompetent got promoted. She's one of them. And she thinks she's done something on her own. She's affirmative action. It's just like when we were talking about Sarah Huckabee last week. I feel so bad for her husband, Mr. Sanders. Everyone calls her Sarah Huckabee. She should just drop that name, But Sarah Huckabee,
she would never do that.
She was just like this. I'm the first female governor of my state. She thinks she's accomplished something. She got the job as governor because her daddy was governor. President Trump wanted his endorsement, made a deal with Huckabee to get his endorsement to help get the Christian vote. And the exchange was make her the press secretary. Trump made her famous, endorsed her. She became governor. But like Nikki Haley, she thinks she's a hardworking person who's accomplished things on her own. Nikki Haley and Sarah Huckabee Sanders are so full of themselves. They're stupid. They're incoherent and drunk on their own egos.
Well, I don't think you can lump them in the same category. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
No, Sarah Sanders is a Nepo baby. Nikki Haley is not.
Nikki Haley's an affirmative action quota.
Maybe not. She was governor.
No, she was
elected twice.
She only became governor because the Republicans pushed her after Obama, so the Republicans could say we have black and brown people too, not just.
Well,
the
anyway,
Democrats.
she was governor for 6 years or whatever.
Yeah, she quit her
terms.
job. She didn't finish her job.
And but I wouldn't compare her to Sarah because Sarah, her everything she's had is because of her father. But she's kind of like a Liz Cheney type. But her and Sarah Huckabee are using a lot of the same verbiage in their speeches, which is interesting to me about being the first female.
They have the same people working
being the new generation and this and that. Well, or they're in cahoots together and they're like, working together, coming up. This is their strategy now. And what I think is going to happen is this is going to become a running theme, and it's going to take off with the age thing. And Trump's tired. Trump's old. We need to move on and this and that. I don't think that's a good strategy. I think that'll backfire.
This whole thing about the new generation, because we're new, which she's not, she's old, but, how well did New Coke do? And the strategy that, these people are old, it's time for them to move on, it's time for the kids, that is such a juvenile way of thinking. When
I agree. I don't think it's a good idea.
When I was young, like in middle school and high school, there used to be all these shows on TV that were like panels of teenagers talking about the issues facing our society, right? Remember these shows? You ever watch these shows? And I used to watch them when I was in middle school and high school, and I thought, oh man, these kids, they know. And today, anytime I see one of those youth panels on TV, I'm like, who cares? Well, they're kids. They don't know what they're talking about. They're stupid. They live with their parents. They don't buy their own food. They don't even pay their cell phone bill. And they're telling us how the world should be. The last time I saw this type of tone, like I'm seeing with Nikki Haley and Sarah, it's time for the young people that slogans run here to take over. Two groups of people, the Parkland kids and AOC. And after the Parkland massacre, the Parkland kids said, this is what we believe. You need to go along with it. You're older than us. You will be dead before us. We will be on Earth after you're dead. So we have more vested. So you have to do research. Remember, they said that. And AOC has said the same thing.
Meanwhile, they said that, but their classmates were murdered in high school. So they didn't live
there's
longer.
Somebody, what they don't understand.
No, but what I'm saying is
there's always someone younger.
What I'm saying is they said that, but they were saying that in after the aftermath of that horrible shooting, but 17 of their classmates didn't make it through high school.
No.
So they don't all live forever.
Yeah.
They don't all live past everybody.
That's true.
It has nothing to do
That's true.
with that. There's people that live to be 100 and that are perfectly healthy, like Betty White or Norman Lear, these people that are perfectly sharp. And then there's kids, unfortunately, that get killed or die from illness before they're 18 years old. So your age should have no factor in this. Just like your race should have no factor as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't think I would elect a 90-year-old president. I got to be honest with you.
If it was Trump, I would.
A little too old. But if they're very sharp, and with it, then I would be like, okay, well, this guy, it's only 4 years, and this guy's really sharp, has good ideas, and is with it. That is not a factor for me, and I don't think it's a factor for most people. Now, if somebody was 35 and running, I don't think I would elect them. I think that's too young. You don't have life experience. For me, they should be at least 45. So for that, age is an issue for me, but there might be some exceptions. I don't know. The youngest president was Teddy Roosevelt, so 41. I wasn't alive then. He was 41, and he only got in because the president died, but the first time. But I don't know. Age is not as big of a factor to me, unless it's like they're too young. Then I think if they were like under 45, I might have an issue.
Well, I'm of the opinion.
Because there is such a thing as life experience.
Ron DeSantis is 43.
He's got to be 44 by now.
When I hear someone talk about, it's time for the youth to take over, to me, that's very immature, juvenile thinking.
Yeah, it is.
And that shows me someone that's not mature enough to hold office.
Well, it shows me that she doesn't have anything else to attack Trump on. She has nothing as far as his policies that she can go with. So they're going to attack him on his age? I mean, it's weak. I just think it's weak.
Nikki Haley has a term and a half as governor. She quit, right, to go work for Trump. She should come out and say, I was governor for 6 years. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and I did this. And when I'm president, that's what DeSantis does.
Yeah.
Right? He's got this great record of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And that's where he gets his credibility. He doesn't get his credibility saying, I'm the daughter of immigrants. I'm an Indian. Right. I have brown skin. I'm young.
She sounds like a liberal there. She's throwing out all these talking points and all these things.
Yeah.
Instead of dealing with what she's actually accomplished, she's talking about her sex, her age, and her ethnicity as if those are qualifications. None of that matters to me really at all. I don't care what their ethnicity is or if they're immigrants. Like I said, I'm a daughter of an immigrant, or their age, unless they're too young. But that's not as big of a deal as their policy, how they think, how they view the world. So we'll see what happens. Now, I don't think it's a good idea.
One of our listeners and viewers on YouTube left a YouTube comment. They said, got my 2.0 My Pillows and love it. Very comfortable. Recommend this pillow highly. The My Pillow 2.0, we've been talking about this last couple of weeks. It's a brand new invention of Mike Lindell's, the My Pillow 2.0. It has that same patented fill inside that the regular My Pillow does, the pillow that started it all, but it has also cooling technology in it. So your head and face never get warm. And you know how that goes. Your face, your head get hot at night. You flip the pillow over. When you flip the pillow over, you're waking yourself up.
Oh, yeah, it's awful.
You're interrupting your night's sleep. You're leaving REM sleep. And you don't want to do that. Kathy and I, tonight will be a week. We got them last Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Today will be the 7th night that we've slept on our My Pillow 2.0s. They're unbelievable. We took the other pillows off the bed.
They're amazing, these new pillows. I never thought the My Pillow could get better.
It's amazing.
It's in a pillowcase that's thicker.
Well, it's not a pillowcase. The cover of the pillow, not the pillow.
Right. What's holding the fill together?
Yeah, the pillow. The pillow
outside
cover.
of the pillow, the cover is like this thick material. It's very soft and it breathes, and when you lean on it or lay on it, you can feel it cooler.
Put your hand on it, you can tell.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
So the My Pillow 2.0 is buy one get one free with our promo code Kane at checkout, KANE. And I'm just going to give you some inside knowledge here, some inside talk from the meetings. The My Pillow 2.0 is selling in much larger numbers than Mike Lindell and My Pillow expected. They knew it would sell, but they didn't know it would sell this fast and at this level. So they're going quick, and when their inventory gets low, they are going to end this buy one get one free special, and they will end it without notice. I'll just wake up one morning, I'll have an email in my email box or a text message from Mike Lindell's office telling me. So go to mypillow.com right now. Order your My Pillow 2.0. It's buy one, get one free with our promo code Kane, KANE. Remember, you can take advantage of all the specials at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane, KANE, not just the ones that we share, but this one, that My Pillow 2.0, buy one, get one free with our promo code Kane, KANE. We'll take our first break and be right back.
Are you looking for a unique and profitable business opportunity? Have you thought about an ignition interlock device business? To give offenders a second chance, courts are often willing to allow convicted DUI drivers to install interlock devices so they can continue to drive their vehicles. These devices work by having the driver perform a breathalyzer test in order to start their car. More and more judges are offering these devices, and you can learn everything you need to know in the book, How to Start an Interlock Business, available online at theinterlockbook.com. This downloadable ebook has tons of useful information that you won't find anywhere else. In this must-read book, you'll learn how to find ignition interlock partners, how to pick the right business model, understand the different types of services, learn to analyze potential service center locations, discover how to streamline business operations, how to apply for the right business license, how to stay in compliance, and much, much more. What are you waiting for? Don't blow and drive. Read and buy the book, How to Start an Interlock Business, online at theinterlockbook.com. That's theinterlockbook.com. Want to know where all the bodies are buried? Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob. Welcome to Mob-Ammy Beach. This book is a fictionalized account of Miltenberg working at a mob-owned Miami Beach hotel in the 70s. If you're a fan of The Godfather, Goodfellas, or The Sopranos, you will love this story that's full of colorful characters and wisecracking wise guys. It's a story with everything from Playboy bunnies and weaponized parrots to shattering the glass ceiling and getting away with murder, all in paradise. This is a wise guy tale you've never heard. Surrounded by pools, the trick for Bobby Moskowitz was not slipping in the one thicker than water. Bobby lived to tell the tales, and now you can read all about it. The funniest mob novel since Jimmy Breslin's The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. From author Robert Allen Miltenberg, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Take your financial game to the next level. Take control of your financial and personal well-being with The Winning Playbook from authors Rob Welsh and Jonathan R. Scott, available on Amazon. This is the essential guide to transforming your career into a money-making machine and becoming the CEO of your own legacy. Financial empowerment expert Rob Welsh and former NFL offensive tackle Jonathan R. Scott have dedicated themselves to successfully coaching athletes of all levels to make their money work for them. The Winning Playbook is your personal financial coach, giving you the ins and outs of how to make the most of the rewards from your hard work. You will learn what you must know to get what you want from life. It's a well-written, practical personal finance book and a must-read for athletes and entrepreneurs alike. From authors Rob Welsh and Jonathan R. Scott, The Winning Playbook, Strategies for Life on and off the field. Order your copy on Amazon right now. Attention startups and small business owners. Are you looking for an affordable solution to launch or boost your sales? The StoreApp e-commerce platform is the answer. Online at storeapp.io. Costing as little as Netflix, it offers the best return on investment for your business. With their easy-to-use platform, you can build and launch an online store in minutes and start selling where people are most active and actively looking for products such as yours. Amazon, Google, eBay, Pinterest, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and with its free digital marketing tools, you can make use of SEO, email, and social marketing tools, as well as paid ads. This is all done through one single dashboard. The only way to succeed in selling is with an omni-channel approach, like all the large brands do. Now you too can do so with StoreApp.io. What are you waiting for? Build and run your own e-commerce store in less than 10 minutes. Go right now to StoreApp.io. That's StoreApp.io.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. All right, there was this tragic shooting in Michigan the other day. And of course, they immediately jump into gun control, guns are the problem. You're never going to have gun control in America, okay? This country was founded on a revolution and frontiersmen. You know, I know Proud Family says slaves did everything, but there was a revolution, there were frontiersmen. And, you know, this is a gun culture. That's part of the American culture, and that's the way it is. And one thing I always mention with the 3D printing technology, if everyone that was a gun owner agreed, let's get rid of guns and turn them in, the criminals would be making them with 3D printers tomorrow. And it's a ridiculous thing. But this Michigan shooter, we're finding out that it was not the gun problem. It's not the NRA. It's not the Republicans. It's these woke Soros prosecutors that have been planted around the country. Listen to this. The MSU gunman who killed 3 students, and by the way, they call this a mass shooting. I know 3 lives is a lot of lives, and it's a sad thing, but I know it fits the definition of a mass shooting. Is it more than 2?
Yes.
You know, I wouldn't call when I think of a mass shooting, I think like these terrible incidents. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, I mean, they're all terrible. All shootings, all murders are terrible, but you know, I wouldn't consider 3 a mass shooting. I know like serial killer. It has to only be 3, but I don't think anyway, regardless. The MSU gunman who killed 3 students in a senseless spree Monday should have been banned from buying guns after being charged with a felony in 2019. Because if you are charged with a felony, convicted felony, you can't purchase a gun. But a woke prosecutor lowered the offense to a misdemeanor. He was charged with carrying a concealed weapon, a felony, which would have prevented him from buying or owning any other weapons if he had been convicted. Instead, the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office, then run by Carol Seaman, lowered the offense to a misdemeanor. It remains unclear where and when McRae bought the weapon used in Monday's attack as of this story, and I don't know any developments on that. But he wouldn't have been able to do so legally had the prosecutor gone through with the felony charge. McRae was instead given a plea deal, which involved no jail time. He was given 2 years probation, which he was discharged from in 2021. He was arrested after he was found sitting on the steps of an abandoned building smoking at 1:30 in the morning in June 2019. The officer asked him if he was carrying weapons. He told the cop he had a .380 semi-auto pistol, but he did not have a concealed carry permit. The officers found the guns in his pocket, also found a loaded magazine in the pocket of his shirt. Seaman didn't respond to questions from the press. She was replaced last year as prosecutor. While in office, she was a gun control advocate. She frequently posted on her social media pages about recalling rifles and semi-automatic weapons, and is also a champion of LGBTQ plus causes. The new prosecutor shared this information. The new prosecutor said that McRae would never have been sent to jail because a jury would have focused on his lack of other criminal history, but that the felony charge would have stopped him from being able to purchase a gun in the future. You know, this is the second time, it's more than the second time, but the second high-profile one. You know, the tragedy here in our neck of the woods at Parkland was the same thing. The police were called to Nicholas Cruz's house, the Parkland shooter, a couple dozen times on domestic disturbances, elder abuse, and all these things. And because they were cooking the books on the crime statistics, they didn't want any arrest to take place in the city. If he would have been arrested and charged with these crimes that he was committing, Nicholas Cruz wouldn't have been able to buy those guns either. You know, listen, no one's a felon until they get that first felony conviction, okay? So, you know, so it wouldn't stop every incident. But a lot of these high-profile people, they have a history of mental illness and crime. They run in trouble with the law, and for whatever reason, they don't get prosecuted. So they're not put in the system as a felon, and they're able to go and buy guns legally because these, you know, the Nicholas Cruz, it was the Democrat sheriff in our community that had this cooking of the crime stats thing going on that allowed him never to be charged or arrested. So Nicholas Cruz from Parkland went on to buy guns. So to talk about, well, we need more laws when they're not enforcing the laws we have on the books already that would have stopped this guy and Nicholas Cruz and others from getting guns is insane.
Yeah, they just go in circles. They don't plan on doing anything. You had Joe Biden and Democrat Senate and House for 2 years. They did nothing about any of this. They never plan on doing anything. They use it as a political ploy.
That's right.
To get people to elect them. They've been in charge many, many times. They know that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the problem is that, like you said, that they have these laws. The laws are in place, and they don't enforce them. So what's the good to have the
That's
law
right.
if they don't enforce it?
Exactly. Now, you know, the culture war in this country, you know, the liberals have won and done more damage than we realize. It's just you know that old analogy about boiling the frog. If you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, he'll jump out.
Right.
If you put a frog in, this is the analogy. I'm not suggesting anyone do this, but if you put a frog in a pot of cold water and turn up the heat, and the water slowly gets hot, he'll boil alive, and he won't know it until it's done. Right? You ever heard that old analogy? You know, the left have had so many victories in the destruction of the American way of life and destroying the American family, and it's happened so slowly, so gradually over the years. I don't think we realize how bad it's gone. On the last show, on our last podcast, Kathy and I had mentioned we've been watching 8 is Enough, the old TV series from the 70s.
On Tubi. It's a great app, Tubi.
And, you know, and we've been kind of doing an 8 is Enough marathon. We've been watching 2 or 3 episodes every night before bed for the last few nights.
We really like it.
Yeah, we like 8 is Enough. Yeah. We're in the second season.
We grew up watching that show, so.
But we're in the second season, and season 1 and 2 were filmed in 1977. And if you're not old enough to remember 8 is Enough, it's a guy who has 8 kids, and his wife dies.
It's based on a real person.
Mm-hmm,
who wrote a book about it.
And watching this show, I did not realize how destructive the left have been to the American family and the American way of life until we started watching 8 is Enough. Now, 8 is Enough was on ABC from like 77 to like 81 or 2.
Yeah, 5 seasons.
And the way that this show operates, which is mainstream television, and they were liberals back then too in Hollywood and everything else, nothing happens in the house without the father's approval.
They all go to the father for advice.
They go to the
help.
They go to the father for advice on the most minor of things.
Yep. And he always has the answers.
And exactly. no decisions are made without the father.
He's the head of the house.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And it's not even up for question. And he's got 8 children.
And they all respect him.
4 girls and 4 boys.
No, 5 girls.
Is it 5 girls, 3 boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they all respect him.
And you never, and some of them are older in college. And even the girl in college won't go out of town with her boyfriend without the approval of her father and all of this. And, and that's the way it used to be, the 70s and the 80s. I'd forgotten what it was like. We were kids then, okay? But they have so slowly destroyed our family in this country.
Compared to how fathers are depicted now. And I'd said to you, wow, they would never depict a father like this. The head of the home, authoritative, old-fashioned, he rules the roost. Kindly. He's not, Dick Van Patten. He's not a mean guy on the show, Mr. Bradford. But the kids respect him. They look up to him. They go to him for advice, for help. He always says the right thing, does the right thing, level-headed guy. And now the way they depict, this is kind of started in the 90s, the way they depict fathers, they're idiots, they're buffoons, they're
and fat.
Stupid.
They're all fat.
They don't know their ass from their elbow. They need help with everything. Nobody respects them. They're the butt of jokes now. And
they're the dummy.
They're the dummy of the family.
That's right.
And that's the way it is. And the kids are the smart ones.
That's right.
The kids have to educate the parents,
like Nikki
because
Haley.
the adults are too stupid. And that's filtered over into schools. The biggest problem we have, and DeSantis is really, this is a big issue he's gotten into, is education, the public education. And they have empowered the students. And I had a little bit of taste of this when I was teaching. They empowered the students. The students are in charge of the school, not the teachers and not the administrators. I can tell you, they act like they are. But when push comes to shove, the last thing they want is a parent to show up complaining, and they will always side with the parent and the kid, always.
And what the damage that the left have done to the American family is more damage than any of us realize. We're talking about this show 8 is Enough. Remember, even before our time, like in the 50s, they had Father Knows Best. There would never be a show called Father Knows Best.
Even though the father was the head of the home, but, Beaver was like Dennis the Menace.
They would never have a show called Father Knows Best, unless it was like a punchline, and he really didn't know anything. He was an idiot. And when we were watching 8 is Enough, in the first episode, his oldest son moved out and got his own apartment. And and the father,
who was played by Mark Hamill, by the way,
the father goes over to his son's house, his son's apartment, unannounced, and his son opens the door and he's talking to him in the living room, and there's a bra on the couch, and the father goes up at the bra and he says, "Are you a transvestite, or is there somebody here?" And this is on ABC, which is Disney now. And I'm thinking, transvestite, I don't even know if you're allowed to say transvestite now. I don't even know if I can say transvestite now on the show. And I was like, wow, that was on network television? He was like making fun of him and called him a transvestite. Could you imagine if that happened today, what they would do if that was in a television show?
Never happened. That show would get canceled so fast.
Oh, yeah, you have no idea. Well, listen, I'm not suggesting people go and watch old TV shows. Kathy and I are watching 8 is Enough because we grew up on that show, and it's a little nostalgic for us.
We like to watch. We went through this phase where we watched all the Andy Griffiths and Love Boats, and now, we pick a show and we watch all the episodes. We binge it, a couple episodes a night. So now we're doing 8 is Enough. I think Fantasy Island will be next.
No, I don't think that's not that good.
Think so?
Yeah, we won't get through many of it. That's not so good. But, listen.
We'll see.
It's the reason I bring this up, we're not talking about television. We're talking about our culture. It is so important to stand up for traditional family values in this country. If you support traditional family values, you're not a crazy person. You're the sane one.
I hate to say this, but the real, I'm not saying we didn't have problems in this country, but culturally, the real problem, and this affects all homes, no matter what the ethnicity is or economic, is the breakdown of the family was women's lib. And I'm not saying women aren't equal and shouldn't have opportunities presented to them, but the women's lib movement really was, and they addressed this a lot in 8 is Enough, actually, but the women's lib movement, I think, just took things a little too far as all these women getting divorces and being on their own and the breakup of the family. I think the 70s, you probably had more divorces. Brian and I are both products of divorce. More divorces probably than any other decade because of women's lib. And I understand women are equal, and believe me, I get that. But this breakdown of the family unit, which really started with the women's lib movement, has done so much damage. And now you have girls where it's totally fine. Look at Nick Cannon. He's got 12 kids by like 8 different women. And they applauded. I was sickened when he was on a show. I think it was the New Year's Eve show or some show. I don't know. And they were interviewing him on CNN. And they're like, oh, congratulations on your 12th kid. And this, why are we celebrating this? This is not good to have all these children out of wedlock. Yeah. And you have all these women that think it's totally fine to have multiple kids with multiple baby daddies and vice versa. This is the biggest problem in this country is you don't have a 2-parent home.
That's right.
And there's no authoritative figure. The breakdown of the family is it has caused so much damage. And you know what? To this society.
They don't even have...
You don't see this in other countries like you see.
How can you have a father as the head of the home when they don't even have like a gender in the house?
Well, when I lived in Italy, the way they live there, you don't have the divorce rates you have here. The kids you have multi-generations in the home. You have grandparents, great-grandparents, parents, and the kids. I'm not saying that's how you should do it, but the family unit stays together. They help each other. My grandfather, who was from Italy, my great-grandfather, Joseph, he lived with his kids and their kids. They all lived in a 3-story house in New Jersey, 3 generations. That's how they do it. And they all stay married through thick or thin and stick together and help and support each other. You don't have that anymore in a lot of homes. People get divorced over stupid things because they fight over something stupid. They move on. They get married 3 or 4 times. Then they have more kids and they add to the problems, trying to fix the old problems. It's a mess. I just think the breakdown of the family has caused so much disaster in America. Some
sad news to report. Just saw Raquel Welch died.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Raquel Welch, age 82.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie with her.
Raquel Welch died at 82 following a brief illness. They didn't say what it was. And, oh, my goodness. And that's I remember Raquel Welch is a little bit before our time, but it just popped up in my mind. In 82, I remember seeing her on TV when she turned 40. She's
always pretty.
And they were talking, Raquel Welch, sexy at 40 and doing interviews about sex at 40 and everything. Like it was a big deal. She turned 40 and now she just died at 82. And that's that when they said Raquel Welch at 40, like she was an old lady.
Have you ever seen? I saw her in an episode of Seinfeld. Yeah, and I've seen her, but I've never seen her in a movie that I can.
Fantastic Voyage.
Never saw it.
I never saw 1 Million BC, but I've seen her in Fantastic Voyage. I've seen that a bunch of times.
Was she like a big movie star or just known more for being like a sex pot?
But a little bit of both.
That poster from 1 Million BC, that famous poster.
She was a little bit with both. I kind of hope, like, it would be so amazing if Raquel Welch had written a tell-all book to be published after she died about everything she did and knew in Hollywood. Has. Oh, that'd be amazing because, she knows everything.
Yeah, I'm sure she's had her share.
She was on Neil Cavuto a few years ago, and Neil Cavuto couldn't control himself.
Yeah, well, she was always beautiful. She was always
he was like out of control, Neil Cavuto.
Really?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. I guess he likes Raquel Welch.
Yeah, when the segment was over, I bet you he did not stand up at the desk. I bet he stayed sitting.
God,
he was out of control.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but Raquel Welch, I was unoffensive. She seemed like a nice person.
Yeah,
I always liked Raquel Welch.
Can't live forever.
All right, listen, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
Attention all women who are entrepreneurs. If you're looking for ways to focus and achieve your business goals, look no further. Boss Free Media on Etsy is stocked with digital products for entrepreneurs just like you. Whether you're in the startup or growth phase, they have digital products made to help you effectively and confidently manage your business. Make those business goals and financial dreams a reality with the business essentials from Boss Free Media, featuring a wide variety of constantly updating Wix website templates, business assets, and educational courses. Boss Free Media will have you feeling empowered and equipped to manage your business like a pro. Head to Boss Free Media on Etsy right now at etsy.com/shop/Boss Free Media. That's etsy.com/shop/Boss Free Media for website templates, business essentials, and personal development. Etsy.com/shop/Boss Free Media. Are you looking for inspiration? Are you ready to move from being tired to being inspired? Work can be stressful and a burden, but it doesn't have to be. Now is the time to take the first step to improve your well-being and your quality of life. You can regain your enthusiasm and enjoy what you do with the book Burnout Recovery Guide for Female Entrepreneurs from author Cassia Richter. In this must-read and life-changing book, you will find that perfect balance so everything can fall into place for you. All the strategies and tools you need are found in this informative and useful book. Burnout slowly creeps to the surface and can easily steal your joy without you even noticing it. By learning to watch out for the signs and find solutions before it's too late, you can avoid its detrimental effects. If you want to have it all, a thriving career, pristine mental health, and a happy family life, then buy this book today. Burnout Recovery Guide for Female Entrepreneurs from author Cassia Richter is available on Amazon and at wellbeingstrategist.com. If you're looking for a beautiful way to enhance your home decor, look to Textiles by J. Purr Blockhouse. At J. Purr Blockhouse, you will find handmade textiles that are truly stunning. They offer soft quilts, cushions, and shams. Experience the ultimate luxury and comfort with these fabulous bedding collections. They use only organic cotton that's very soft with chemical-free dyes. That's perfect for the living room, bedroom, your kids' room, or your guest room. You can transform the look of your bed with these hand-embroidered quilts, cushions, and shams. Find these gorgeous bedding items on Etsy at J. Purr Blockhouse. That's JAIPURBLOC House. On Instagram at J. Purr Blockhouse or visit their website, jpurrblockhouse.com. Now available on Amazon is the book Your Happiness Depends on Your Choice. Are you on the right path or the wrong path? Our universe is always moving and evolving based on precise, absolute, and unchangeable laws. If everyone proceeds in accordance with the laws, they are most definitely headed for perfection, and they will reach a happy, successful life, a life filled with peace. Whatever path you choose and have persistence and perseverance treading it and have no intention of changing your path, then the forces and facilities in the universe will accompany you and help you tread that path. But how do you choose the right path and walk with perseverance? The answers to those questions and more are found in the new and must-read book, Your Happiness Depends on Your Choice, available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. If you would like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description, and there's also a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you're going to hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Maria, Mike P., Paulette, and Carlos. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. All right, now, there's a new story that just also came out, and this just broke while we've been speaking, like during the last segment. Republicans have sent congressional subpoenas, the House, right, House subpoenas, to the CEOs of Amazon, Apple, Meta, which is Facebook, and Alphabet for all documents on collusion with the government to suppress free speech. Jim Jordan subpoenaed them. It's his committee, and this is pretty amazing. And this is going to be a big deal. And I know a lot of people are saying nothing will become of it. Really? How do you think Trump ended up back on Facebook and Instagram? The Twitter files and then the hearings on Twitter. I watched last night some of the highlights of the Twitter hearings. That scared the daylights out of Facebook, and they said we better do something here.
Oh, they don't want to be on TV talking about this stuff.
No.
They don't want anything being brought out in the open, the best thing is just to let Trump back and avoid this whole problem.
That's right. So the Twitter files and then the Twitter hearings that happened recently, that's why Facebook put Trump back on.
I think you're right.
And, I always tell you guys I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. A lot of people are conspiracy theorists. Mm-hmm. And I don't think because something's a conspiracy doesn't mean it's wackadoodle. This is what I think. I think the government and the deep state are behind the entire internet. I think all the major platforms, I think Facebook and Twitter and social media were all started by the government so that they can monitor us and control everything. I mean, look, I use Instagram. You guys should follow me on all my platforms. I'm on Instagram. I put stuff on Instagram, Brian Craig Show on Instagram. And I scroll through Instagram. And the only reason I scroll through Instagram not to see the photographs of the people I follow. I scroll through Instagram to see how accurate the ads are to things going on in my life on Instagram. And I don't want to tell you what this. I'll tell Kathy off the air. I don't want to tell you guys because it involves business. But I was having a conversation with someone at I had a few meetings at the radio station with some people and at the radio station, and we were talking about some things in particular. And it was 3 or 4 meetings. And one of the meetings was about 30, 40 minutes long, and they were meetings about the exact same thing, 3 or 4 of these meetings. And ever since then, I'm getting bombarded. And it was a conversation about something way out of left field. Something I would never normally talk about, and it's professional talk. It's like not something you would normally do. I've just been bombarded on Instagram with ads relating to what my private conversation was about.
Yeah, that's happened to me before.
And you hear these stories all the time. The phone is listening to you and feeding your conversations to these apps so that they know how to target you. And the only thing I use, I do put things up on Instagram. And
what else are they using?
You guys should, exactly. You guys should definitely follow me on Instagram and everything, and please do. But I just scroll through Instagram just to see the ads, and it's crazy. We used to, when our daughter was little, we had this electronic game called 20Q. And the way 20Q worked, it was unbelievable. You'd be thinking of something. You'd think of something. And it would ask you questions. You never say out loud what it is. You would just think something.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And it would ask you a series of questions. And within 20 questions, over 90% of the time, it would tell you what you were thinking. And it was so strange. Like I remember one time I was thinking of a bottle of beer and it figured it out. I mean, it was just crazy. And that's just but Instagram, obviously the phone is listening to you and feeding you suggestions. And if you go on YouTube and search Instagram is listening to me, you will see endless videos of people. They'll just sit in front of their phone and say things they would normally not talk about. My dog has fleas. And they'll say it like 1,000 times. My dog has fleas. My dog has fleas. My dog has fleas. They'll say it over and over again. And then all of a sudden they're getting ads for flea medication for dogs on Instagram.
Yep.
It's crazy.
No, it's happened to me a few times.
Yeah. And this is a thing. And your phones, part of the way it works too, is your phone follows you everywhere you go. So, and they know what stores you go in, what products they have. And since, I pay for almost everything with Apple Pay. My grandparents, if they had like Apple Pay back then when they were alive, they would think it was the mark of the beast. They would be like freaked out over Apple Pay.
Probably. Some people think that now.
Yeah. And maybe they are. Maybe it is the mark of the beast. They may be right. But because of Apple Pay, and I know somebody got Google Pay, but the phone monitors what stores you go in. It knows what you're buying. It sends you ads on these platforms and websites based on what stores you've walked into.
Right.
I
wonder if, because we have Alexa in the house.
We have one in every room, including the bathrooms.
And they say Alexa only listens when you say Alexa.
I don't believe that.
For 10 seconds.
Don't believe that.
I wonder if Alexa, if they're all, because everything's connected through your internet, if they hear you talk about certain things, and that also affects ads and things that you see.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I believe
they're doing in marketing with cell phones what they dreamed of doing with television, which they were never able to do. They were never able to have that interactive aspect of TV. I know Bill Gates talked about, tapping something on the screen and then you go and buy it.
Internet TV never happened.
Never happened. They talked about that. So this has been an idea for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But look, if it really bothers you, then you just don't have a cell phone. I mean, you don't have to have a phone. Most people have them and like them, and I think they understand that's a trade-off to having it. Or don't use those kinds of apps.
No, we
don't use Instagram or TikTok.
We use everything.
But that your whole life now is so many people. Go to any restaurant and you'll see everybody is in their phone.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad.
And we have an Alexa in every room, including the bathrooms. And we all know that it's listening to us, and the government can listen, and everybody knows. And we have all decided to sacrifice privacy for all these gizmos. But getting back to this Jim Jordan committee, these hearings stopped saying to people nothing's going to become of them. Things are becoming. Look what happened. These Twitter hearings. Mm-hmm. If you don't think anything's coming of them, you just haven't been paying attention.
I think the problem is people have an idea of what should happen.
Yeah.
And when that doesn't happen, then they're disappointed. So instead of getting stuck in, well, this is what should occur, or this is what I think should happen. Instead of going down that road, be open-minded and listen to this show and other people that are tuned in and be, understand, okay, well, this is a result of that, and expand your horizons a little bit, because a lot of people get in a trap where they think, well, if they're not going to jail or if they're not getting arrested, then this is worthless. You're right. The Trump being back on Facebook, that's huge. And being back on
that's
social
right.
media platforms, I never thought that would happen. And Elon Musk started putting him on Twitter.
Now he's on everyone.
Now all these hearings.
He's on all of them.
I mean,
now.
Did you ever think Trump would be back on these social media platforms? I don't think he never would have started Truth Social if he thought he would. Right. He would have waited.
That's exactly
right. He never
right.
thought that he would have been back. That's why he started his own app, and now he's going to be back on, and he's probably like, crap, I should have just waited another year.
Well, Chris Cuomo has revealed something. Okay.
Oh, God. You mean more than he's already revealed already?
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy. We already saw him shirtless and naked.
This is pretty bad. Chris Cuomo is unstable. And, I've told you, I've had a couple run-ins with Chris Cuomo on Twitter. I'll tell you the two real quick. One time I was up doing my show prep. It was like 3:34 in the morning, and I saw a tweet from Chris Cuomo. It was a picture of him making coffee at home on a coffee machine that probably cost as much as our car. It was a very expensive, and he's like up early making coffee. And I just responded, and I said something like, oh, it's nice to see a rich guy up in the morning getting ready for work. This was like 3:34 in the morning because he was doing his morning show on CNN then. Within seconds, I get a notification. Mm-hmm. Chris Cuomo, he messaged me on Twitter at 3:34 in the morning, and he was pissed. And he says, what do you mean? Because someone comes from a family of means they don't work? What do you mean? And he had these exclamation marks.
You meant it as a compliment, and he just got so triggered.
And I wrote him back. I said, no. I said, listen, most guys like you in New York, that rich guys are coming home from scores at this time, not getting up going to work. That's a good thing. And then another time, I figured, he'd get that. He'd probably like, yeah. Scores probably comes to him. Probably. But and then the second time, this was crazy. I was in the car and I was listening to CNN. I was going to Target, and he said something on CNN with a guest, and I was pulling into the Target parking lot, and I parked the car, and I tweeted something about I don't remember what I tweeted, what I said, or anything, but I tweeted something about what Chris Cuomo had just said on CNN. I'm in the parking lot at Target. Within seconds, I get a notification. Chris Cuomo messaged me during the commercial break on CNN, yelling at me again about my comment. And I'm thinking, my goodness, during the commercial breaks, he's on, he's unglued. He is not a stable person. And remember, he really got famous when he threatened to throw a man down the stairs for calling him Fredo. I'm not Fredo. Fredo is the weaker brother. I'm not weak, So now
he's got some insecurities, clearly.
Well, Chris Cuomo's problem is he's in touch with why he's gotten what he has, unlike Sarah Huckabee. He knows he hasn't earned anything or done anything, that everything's been handed to him through family connections.
So he has a lot to prove.
And he's like Jeb Bush.
To himself.
Yeah. So listen to this. listen to this. He was talking about when he got fired from CNN, okay? Former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo revealed that he thought about killing everybody, including himself, in the aftermath of being fired from CNN.
Oh, my goodness.
The current News Nation anchor was given the boot in late 2021 for doling out advice to his brother, Andrew Cuomo, during his sexual misconduct stuff. It was also revealed that Chris used his media connections and contacts to check on stories in the pipeline about his brother and traffic the information back to government operatives for the governor. Cuomo shared his struggle on Open Book with Anthony Scaramucci.
Oh, another winner.
Who I interviewed when he was with Trump.
Yeah.
And this is before he turned to the dark side, Scaramucci.
He was always on the dark side.
And I had a great conversation with him about President Trump, and it was one of the best interviews, but that was before he turned. Cuomo shared his struggle on Open Book with Anthony Scaramucci, the podcast hosted by former White House communications director whose tenure at the podium lasted a week and a half, Scaramucci. I had to accept the CNN termination because I was going to kill everybody, including myself. Things can consume you. He said, Italians are so passionate, and I had to fight against all that. I got too many people counting on me. He said, I've made a lot of mistakes and began seeing a therapist after being S-canned by CNN. Now, when somebody says that they were going to kill everybody and themselves, should somebody like that be on national TV? He's on national TV on this News Nation. That doesn't sound stable. That sounds like he's dangerous.
I don't think he'll be fired from News Nation anytime soon.
Well, maybe this is like his protection and I get fired.
I mean, I wouldn't fire him after that.
He gets triggered when he gets fired.
God. That says a lot about him, how entitled he is. And he's grown up living in an entitled world. And he's definitely like a Nepo baby and lived in a life of entitlement. And when something was taken away from him, he couldn't handle it and it was all his own doing. I mean, I remember watching him during all that with the COVID and his brother, and I'm like, this is a clown show. What is this guy doing? I mean, he's embarrassing himself with the Q-tips and the stories of mom and how they really hate each other. It was bizarre. It was bizarre TV. I don't know why they didn't rein him in at CNN. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe they couldn't rein him in, and they tried, and he was just uncontrollable. He has a massive ego. I'm glad he's in therapy, but, this is the kind of guy that I don't think you could, bring down. You know what I mean? I think he's just so high on himself. I think it was more of an ego bruise than anything of him getting. He was humiliated.
He's got a lot of problems. Remember when he got into a fight with a guy riding his bicycle in the Hamptons?
He's like Alec Baldwin of the Hamptons.
And then he got COVID it was those press conferences with his brother were getting crazy, and he was Governor Cuomo in one of his long press conferences was talking about how ticked off he was at his little brother for getting COVID. He says, there was a big problem because Governor Cuomo locked down the entire state of New York. And then Chris Cuomo left the house and he's like, I locked down the whole state, and he went out and he got COVID. And if he gave it to our mother, I'm gonna,
I know, it's just crazy, the two of them. It was weird.
He's totally unglued. And, Chris Cuomo, a lot of you get upset with me this. I kind of like the guy because he's so dysfunctional on television. He's fun to watch.
Sometimes.
You never know what this guy's going to do.
He's unpredictable.
I haven't watched his show on News Nation, I must say. I forget News Nation exists.
Yeah, I think most people do.
I watched News Nation when they had that escaped convict with the lady prison guard a year or so ago.
It's good. They have good shows. I've watched. They have that Leland guy who used to be on Fox.
Yeah, very good.
He's got a show. Ashley Banfield has a show.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I think Cuomo interviewed O'Reilly. He interviews him periodically. They should give him a show. Of course, he's so old. I don't know. They might not like him on TV anymore. But Dan Abrams has a show. Well, I've watched them in the mornings and stuff sometimes. They do.
I'm on the air in the mornings.
No,
what are you watching?
No, at 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And or at 9 o'clock. They have good stories, and they're more like real news, I have to say, and not as so political.
Yeah.
And I think you might see more and more stations maybe picking them up. I don't know.
It is good.
But he's a problem. They never should. They hired him because he's a name. But I think, especially after him saying this, I think they're like, what the hell did we do hiring this guy? I mean, he's clearly, now they're kind of stuck with him.
Well, the two things I like about Chris Cuomo on television is he's very unpredictable. You never know. You really watch to see if he's going to snap, right? That's one thing. And he's so insane, he loses control, and he's very honest and reveals things.
Yeah.
So I enjoy watching Chris Cuomo on TV because he's such a nut. But the guy is really messed up.
Yeah, I feel sorry for his wife might be kooky though too. So
she's got to be married to him.
Yeah.
Remember when he came out of the basement? He faked his return from the basement when he had COVID.
Yeah,
he's a weird guy.
Cat.
He's a weird guy. Listen, if you would like to advertise or promote something on the podcast, send us an email. Go to my website, briancraigshow.com. You can email us there. If there's something, a business, something you have that you want to promote or advertise, send us an email. Kathy gets those emails. And when you send the email, tell us what it is you would like to advertise, what you would like to promote. And if there's a link or something, send that too, and some contact information. And Kathy or I or both of us or one of us will get back in touch with you. BrianCraigShow.com. You can send an email right there. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian Craig. Always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.